Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Discoverers, the podcast where we read, rate, and rank and review, and also rank the entire series of Terry Pratchett's fantasy comic novels, Discworld.
So, Iris, did you think this book was rank?
I didn't think it was rank. I don't think it was that bad. I think it was pickled and preserved. I think it was.
That's a good way of putting it.
I think it was quite well preserved.
Would you say maybe mummified?
Possibly.
Oh.
Desiccated a bit.
Well, would you say it's trapped in a bubble of its own recirculated time?
I would say that it is, in fact, a bit dry.
It is definitely a book of its time. But I mean, we've been saying that
We've
for
all
the last
made
several
books that are about equally on the same quality as the book. We've all made jokes that are on the same quality as the book itself. So
yes,
yeah.
I don't know. I think these are better. At least none of us have made a joke about how pyramids keep razor blades sharp.
They got that out of the way very early.
I just want to say,
two of them.
I'm really, really hoping we're getting into the thing before we've even introduced ourselves. So let me introduce myself real quick. I'm Juniper, and I'm really, really hoping that this book means Pratchett can stop making jokes about razor blades under pyramids. Please, dear God, you've done it all the way. You have to stop now. You can't do more than this.
They weren't funny in the first place.
I'm Iris J. She/they, and I, for one, keep my razor blades in a little mug inside of my bathroom closet, and as far as I know, that keeps them as sharp as a pyramid does. So, take that, Sir Terry.
Well, I'm BALINA, I'm also she/they, and personally I use an electric shaver, so I don't really know what kind of shape I should be putting my under. I think it's like a dodecahedron, but you know, who can afford those these days?
Mm-hmm. They charge out the nose for extra size.
I know! Can you believe it? All those vertices, all those edges, they really shake you down at the dealership.
Alright. And I'm the internet's beloved Princess Grace, she, her, or Faye Fair if you're spicy. I also use the electric razor, and I keep it in a rectangular prism, or, a drawer.
Nice. Love those neo pronouns. I don't know if I've complimented you recently on that, but that's great.
Thank you. Trying them out. You call them my amateur nouns or my hobby nouns.
Nice. I gotta get me some neo pronouns. I've kind of been feeling the itch again recently.
Hell yeah.
Anyways,
cool.
Today we're talking about I think this is the 7th book in the Discworld series, Pyramids. It is a standalone book in the Discworld series, which means that it features characters and a setting that do not appear anywhere else in the series. And sometimes we say that and characters will make cameos in other books or whatever the fuck. This one is Terry just forgot about this one.
For all we know, Djelibeybi got sucked into another time pocket.
Yeah,
no one ever thought about it again.
There's some weird nonsense about that one about 3/4 of the way through, and I still don't fully know what to make of that.
Yeah.
Before we dip into the topics of the book, I'd like to turn things over to our expert synoptrix, BALINA, to summarize the contents. If you're ready, BALINA.
This is, thankfully, the only book that takes place in Djelibeybi, a tiny kingdom that makes pyramids and not much else. Its prince, Ptepkamon the 26th, is sent away to Ankh-Morpork's assassin guild so that he can actually learn something abroad. On the same night that he passes his final exam, his father dies, and it's up to him to return home and take on the god/king mantle of Pharaoh. As we know, Pratchett hates royalty with a passion, but this time it sucks because the kingdom is actually effectively ruled by Dios, the ancient high priest, who is so inflexible that Tepek and his strange foreign ways are ignored at best, disastrous at worst. A conflict between the two leads to the arrangements that the late pharaoh's pyramid would be the biggest ever built, which causes problems. The kind of problems that rotate reality 90 degrees and steal the kingdom away from the rest of the world in its own tiny pocket of possibility, as you do. Having just barely escaped with a camel, a handmaiden, and the knives on his back, Tepek tries to get help but only manages to waste about 30 or 40 pages in sick burns against ancient Troy, before going back with the aid of his camel's incredible mathematical abilities. He finds that the kingdom is now beset by literal interpretations of its gods, and all the former pharaohs have come back to life. Said ancestors assist Tepik in reaching the top of the pyramid, where he vents all the excess time stored within it, and everything goes back mostly to normal. Aside from Dios being sent back in time to complete a stable time loop anyways. He abdicates as fast as he can the moment he finds that the handmaiden from earlier is actually his sister. Neither of them were ever heard from again.
Happy ending.
They all lived happily as far as we know.
The only part of this that ever comes up again is the fact that there is an Assassin's Guild and it has a run in it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for doing such an excellent synopsis of this book.
For the record, I actually checked. I'm looking on the Discworld wiki, and yeah, literally nothing in this book ever comes up again. None of the characters, the place is maybe mentioned in Small Gods at one point as another place that exists, and that's it.
Yeah.
No one in this book ever shows up again. The only thing it contributes to Discworld as a whole is the existence of the Assassin's Guild and what it's like.
Yeah, which I am glad they front-loaded the book with that, because I will say, out of this entire book, the part that was in the Assassin's Guild was my favorite part by far. The Assassin's Guild, fucking cool.
Yeah, I wanted the book to be about that. It was much more interesting than everything else that was going on.
It's there's a novella about Tepik's school days at the Assassin's Guild in Ankh-Morpork and all the colorful characters he meets there. And that's so much fun.
I feel like he could have made a very compelling novel just in those span of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's not the story that he wanted to tell, and to be honest, I'm not fully sure what story he wanted to tell with this one.
The meanest thing I could say about this is that, you ever play a Hideo Kojima game and you get to the part where it's oh, someone told Kojima about Alaskan field mice or whatever. So, now a character is going to, tell you about that because Kojima thought it was fun. I think Sir Terry thought that, because he certainly thinks it's well, it's probably Quantum Joke is very funny because he repeats it 5 times.
Oh my god, he loves that joke!
It's not a good joke, but he fucking loves it. Maybe it was funnier in 1989.
Mm-hmm. They just come up with Quantum then.
Hey, it's a hot new thing.
The weird thing is I think we're going to have more to say about this book in about 7 months when we do Small Gods, but I'm just saying that now so we can get that line out of the way so that we don't end up bringing it up 30 times over the course of the rest of this episode.
To just pull the tablecloth out from underneath all the dishes, this book is absolutely a dry run for Small Gods. And the reason it doesn't work as well as Small Gods is because in Small Gods, the religion they're talking about is more or less kind of a loose analog for Christianity. And in this book, it's a loose analog for a religion of a culture that Terry Pratchett does not belong to, and that, in fact, his culture did subjugate for a while. And that kind of fucking sucks.
We should probably talk about the whole "this book is kind of racist" thing.
Yeah, he spends so long, especially in the first half of the book, being oh, look at these people with their weird religions that believe all these things and they have their rituals. Isn't that funny and ridiculous? Isn't it good when they stop doing that?
Look at all these kooky backwards natives and their outdated concepts. When will they learn to industrialize?
He's got takes.
Yeah,
and I can get how the book isn't really about that. I expect that Terry probably thought it about stuff like monarchies and religions and theocracies are rooted in this concept of tradition, and it's important to temper those with the ability to progress and move forward and look to the future in order for a society to stay healthy. And I can get how we could say that without an ounce of conscious racism in his writing hand. But the fact remains that it can also be read that way.
He's sure is getting his, there's a little bit of Starky new atheist wandering into his work here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like he's still in this phase where he's known primarily as a humor writer, first and foremost, because there are just so many jokes that come out of nowhere, don't go anywhere. The fact that the embalmers are effectively named Dill and Gherkin.
Oh.
Because they're pickles!
Again, just all these little things here and there, and that they don't none of it really matters. And
Yeah.
what the hell? Okay,
That's
June, go ahead and go.
Oh, sorry.
It really feels like this book could have been something a lot better. There's a ton of thorough lines that really made me just be like, this is really interesting, and I actually find this a really cool concept. The Assassin's Guild at the beginning is the best example of this, because an Assassin's Guild full of, like, people who grew up in cults and are slowly, like, learning to kill each other instead, and comparing, comparing, and this is, like, still racist, but less, we're so much better. The fact that a lot of the Assassin's Guild stuff feels sort of like you have to get rid of your old ways of murdering people and get used to the new way of murdering people for money, which, like, that's still not great in a lot of ways, but it's a much more interesting bit, and it could have done a lot of interesting stuff with it. And then it doesn't. And there's a ton of things like that. The whole, like, I'm always a big fan of a book that's like, let's make all of the religious figures real and see what that looks like. I like a lot of little details, but it just, nothing coheres or comes together in any real way, and it feels disorganized and confusing.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, one of the reasons I think I liked the Assassin's Guild so much is because they make a point about, like Tepik isn't the only kid there who is coming out of a very rigidly structured sort of home life. There's Arthur, who's this kid who grew up in another, like, weird cult who really has strong beliefs about, I think it's, like, how he, like, sleeps and stuff, and, like...
Yeah, like, he had to, like, sacrifice a goat or something before going to bed, or a worm would eat him.
It's interesting that the whole point of, like, the Assassin's Guild isn't that they are super-duper killers, it's that they're, like, discreet and professional with their kills. They take personal grievances out of the equation.
You could do such an interesting thing there with just, like, capitalism as a death machine that portrays itself as better because we don't have those old morals and things. And
no, it's like they're somewhat more respectable, but that doesn't necessarily, like, the veneer of respectability does not justify their actions, and it doesn't make what they're doing somehow more noble. And in later books, like, Terry does kind of dig into the idea that the assassins maybe aren't as cool as they think they are, which I appreciate. I wish he would dig into it a little bit more, but he digs a little bit, a tiny bit.
I think he digs into it a bit here with the whole, like, there is one dude who is actually teaching you how to be a horrifying assassin, and most of the other kids are just not doing that, and this kid is having the worst time out of all of them, but it's still just, it doesn't quite work.
It's a shame nobody's invented parkour yet, because, oh man, it feels like this guild just really wants to invent parkour so bad.
Yeah, they keep almost inventing it.
They come really close, but I do want to rewind a little bit here, because there's that bit after the one kid that has to do a sacrifice. There's mentions after that like Chitter beats up the kid who's making fun of Arthur for it, and it mentions, like, over the next 2 weeks, all of the other boys start going through their own weird cult nonsense, and they eventually come to the conclusion that, maybe we should cut this out. This is kind of massively disruptive. And then the book itself forgets this lesson for the next 3 quarters of it.
Yeah.
There are some books where you really get the feeling that the author really just wrote all of it from start to finish, chronologically, and this is one of them.
There's certainly something that could be said here about, like, leaving home for the first time, finally, like, not being around your parents telling you to believe shit all the time, and, like, being able to spread your wings and decide stuff about yourself for the first time. He doesn't really explore that, but, goddamn, he could have.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of the book. Like, there's certainly something you could say about Dios's character and his intense traditionalism and how it literally entombed his dad and all of this, and how, like, when you get to this place, what that can become. He doesn't really explore that at all. In fact, this book has a really weird really weird approach to death that death doesn't get like in any other books, where it's the pyramids are a bad and terrible thing that are doing terrible things to dead bodies. They don't really do that sort of approach to death in like any other Discworld books, and I think the reason why is because it sucks.
Yeah, like the earlier books made it very clear that, like, you know, you just kind of zoop.
Well,
yeah,
they made it very clear that you get whatever afterlife you think is coming to you, which unfortunately for all of these previous pharaohs was lying in the tomb until they ended up in the netherworld or whatever.
Yeah, I think,
which
but they don't even get that. They're just stuck in this pyramid.
Yeah.
And like they've all said like they have this thing where all of them are like, wow, I hate pyramids. They're terrible. This was a terrible thing that we did to build pyramids for some reason. It's this incredibly cruel fate that has absolutely no justification aside from, I guess, Terry Pratchett hating pyramids a lot. I don't know.
I think it's like hating the concept of tradition for tradition's sake a lot, but also like again, because of the reading, like you were talking about a thing that also has very real religious significance to actual people in real life who the British subjugated, and you're saying that their culture is stupid and evil.
And like
you're saying they're stuck in the past.
Yeah.
That's literally that's literally the point.
I realize that I'm picking nits with this, but like, so they established that the whole purpose of a pyramid is ideally that it either slows down time to a complete crawl or even slightly reverses it, which is how Dios kept himself alive for like 7,000 years. So like when they got that got forgotten over the course of thousands of years, and they just kept making more periods, and they started making them bigger, and etc., etc. So shouldn't the pharaohs that were buried in like the first 10 or 20 generations have been really, 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 really well preserved and not falling apart?
Yeah, you would think.
Also, they meant there's that weird bit about how maybe the camels invented Djelibeybi.
All of the stuff with the camels made no sense.
I actually enjoyed the stuff with the camels. It was baffling and confusing, but it was entertaining in a way the rest of the book
a camel gets the best line in the book, which like isn't supposed to be funny, at least not the way Sir Terry intended it. But wait, I read the phrase "cissoid numbers" and I had to stop and post about it. Like, see ya, cissoids.
But like, okay, so they apparently invented that little stretch of land, but Djelibeybi used to cover most of the continent. It's down to just this little section because they've sold off all their land over the centuries to build more pyramids. So why did it matter that that one section that they set up shop in was like not real to start with? Or like was that why that particular region vanished into a separate bubble? Or like that never had any, that got mentioned and treated as if it was significant, but in no way was this actually expanded upon.
Like I feel like this is my core anger with the book, and like my core disagreement with the book is like, I'm gonna use Small Gods as an example. I'm sorry, but like in Small Gods is a book that, even though it has issues with race and other things that we'll get to when we get to Small Gods, and I am eager to pick it apart. Because it's parodying the Christian religion, the crimes that this commits in the name of tradition are very obvious. The crimes are parallel to Christianity. The crimes are parallel to genocide and other things, and destroying knowledge, doing all of this terrible shit. This book has an incredible cruelty towards this culture, with the pyramids are actually a lie, and they're torturing all of the pharaohs for eternity. Haha, isn't that funny? Also, nothing good can ever happen to you, and you've sold off your entire country, and there's terrible things happening all the time. But because it has absolutely no connection to the culture that inspired it, or what that culture means, or anything aside from Pratchett's general idea of religion and tradition equals bad, it just becomes like, you're bad for observing traditions, and I'm gonna punish you for it. Even though there isn't really a reason to do so. I'm
Right.
just going to make it so
Yeah.
this universe hates you for being traditional.
And this
Fuck
is
you.
like,
The menace is like this weird mathematical nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's don't build a really big pyramid for your dad who didn't want one, otherwise it will suck your world into a dimension pocket, and then Greece and Rome will have to go to war.
yeah. And like, this whole thing is part of like, this is a Discworld podcast, of course. And like, we're all white. There's a larger conversation that could be had here, probably by smarter, better people, about the appropriation of ancient Egyptian iconography and mythology and culture into the pop culture landscape, simply because we, the Western European hegemony, have determined that ancient Egypt is something that is, quote, gone and over, unquote, and not that there are people still living in ancient Egypt who are like descended, or people who are still living in modern Egypt who are directly descended from people who live in ancient Egypt. Like, it's a continuous culture. It's not like all the ancient Egyptians all moved out and then like 30 years ago, some people were like, whoa, we just realized, like, the northeastern corner of Africa, nobody's here, and there are these weird triangle houses there, so I guess we'll move in.
You can still see, like, their entire culture. You can mostly see it in the British Museum because of colonialism, but God, I hate the British Museum. What a terrible fucking place.
Anyways,
give it back.
that's why if you've ever jacked off to porn of Anubis, you're a terrible person.
Cancelled. You want to fuck that jackal man? Cancelled.
Maybe that's the problem here. Maybe the problem is that Pratchett just wasn't horny enough for the Egyptian gods.
Yeah, like, it is weird that Pratchett keeps saying, like, oh, look at this guy, he's got a crocodile head. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Pretty weird.
Instead of...
And not sexy.
It would have been much better if he had at least implied one person was horny.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is that, like, it's so... Other than the pyramids, it really doesn't have a ton of analogs to actual ancient Egyptian culture. Like, he didn't do a lot of research into it. He just went with, like, a very broad pop culture concept of it, which it might have also been interesting if he had researched it more and had more to say about it, but...
In the defense of horniness, Tepik gets very, very distracted by the Sphinx's tits.
So would I.
There was a pretty good bit in there where, they didn't get the nose quite right, but, so I'm looking at this page about, like, in this book, he recycles a number of jokes from earlier books, like the bit about Grand Viziers and, a scene about using horse riding as an excuse to touch a woman's breasts.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we're going to have to talk about...
Terry?
No, we're...
Or Tracy.
Oh,
Tracy.
God, yeah.
Put Tracy.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, man.
Hey, Terry, nice one female character with no agency.
It's so weird that the last book was like totally female characters out the wazoo. We got so many female characters. More female characters you can shake a stick at. And then this one is just like one.
Yeah, you get Tracy, and you get that big titty political expediency teacher who, had some good gender going, but, like, we never hear from her again after the interesting part of the book is
Why
over.
is the one female Assassin's Guild teacher the one who doesn't directly murder people except for, like, poison? That sucks. I want, like a butch lesbian assassin teacher who, like, teaches you how to stab people in the throat or something.
Hey, remember Koinina? Remember her?
Yeah.
Remember how cool she was for the first, like, quarter of that one book?
Why doesn't she work there?
They kept talking about with the Assassin's Guild teacher about how her outfit was constantly creaking under an extremely high tension. For God's sakes, it sounds like she's got like 30 loaded crossbows on her person. It's not that much work, guys. Pull out all that stuff to work.
Yeah. I'm absolutely not against the concept of a very fancy lady who murders people with poison. God knows I am extremely in support of that. But you need diversity here.
There was, I guess, one priestess in the big group of high priests that popped up a few times.
Only notable because she was such a drag, and she was always getting the boys down with her gender parody talk.
Christ.
Yeah.
There were a lot of honestly good moments in this book. I actually really liked the scene near the end of like all of the mummies just going, "Wait a second. Fuck all this other noise. We've got family over there. Everybody go help Tepik up the pyramid."
Yeah, that was great.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
it made
that
a
was
great
good.
visual, and it was calling back to one of the ancestor dreams from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
great. I loved the moments of like the king realizing, oh, there were actually people living and working inside the palace, and they all have internal lives, and they're all interesting people. And I'm very sad that I won't get to know how some of their personal drama unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess rubber banding back over to the gods coming across the river, and just like all of their actual human-y traits just sort of sloughing off, and just the worst parts of every divine being that anyone had thought of just being the only thing that's left, and then just the terror of that happening. That was all great imagery. I loved it.
It was basically like the dungeon dimensions done better.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Because it was actual ideas just marching on them, and it's like just the worst things that anybody can imagine, and they actually know what they're about to do. But they never get to do anything because, the situation gets resolved, and they were just there as a clock.
And I do love the base idea of the book of like, wow, if all of the gods come to life, and that means just belief is now immensely powerful, and you are the person who the people consider a god, then you can go here and fight because you have that power now. That's a great little plot diversion. That's like a great premise for something. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't go anywhere. He does one cool thing and then it's over.
Yeah, and then Tepik has to go climb the pyramid and invent the time with his knife.
Just thinking of the line of The Good Place. Yeah, we've all seen the time knife.
The time knife. There was some good bits. There's much is made about the fact that, this kingdom is really old, and so they have a lot of, contradictory, stories. There's 3 different, explanations for why the sun moves across the sky, and then once all 3 of those become real, one of the priests starts calling it like it's a football game.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny.
That was a very funny bit, yeah. That was maybe one of my favorite jokes in the entire book. It just came out of nowhere, and then the dumb ending with "I'm sorry, I have no idea why I did that" was just it was really stupid, but it was really funny to me.
That was really good. I think my favorite groaner in the joke, if we're talking about groaners, was it was with the pyramid contractors pretty early on in the book. "Is it still there?" said Toklusp, and added, "Tell me yes." "If more books have been set into position, it won't be," said his son, looking around wildly. "As the center of mass changes, you see, the nodes will be pulled around." Toklos pulled the young man to one side. "What are you telling me now?" he demanded, in a camel whisper. Footnote: horse whispers are not suitable for a desert environment.
That was good.
So fucking stupid! I loved that.
Again, he writes some good jokes. Again, it's just, this book didn't really didn't ever coalesce into a point, which is weird because the entire second half of the book is about making a point.
Yeah, it's
literally
trying really hard to make a point, but the metaphor doesn't really work, and the closest he ever gets to making a point seem more like mean-spirited swipes at the idea of believing in things.
Yeah.
I still say, Tepik just fucks off at the end of the book.
Yeah.
It's like, no moral, I'm just getting the hell out of here. The rest of y'all can solve your own damn problems.
Here, Tracy, who was my half-sister the whole time, can sit on the throne. Whatever, I don't care. Bye.
It was so wild how many times they were like, "Tracy is a sexy lady." Blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
but
God, we have to talk
at the end
about
it was
this.
like, "Oh yeah, by the way, she's your sister," which one was kind of the twist at the end of Wyrd Sisters as well. And 2, what's up with the incest, Harry? I mean, I get that, haha, royalty, but, what's up with the incest, Harry? Did you feel, the need to put, like hot lady in the book just to like keep readers interested or something? Because you realize we can't see her, right?
We, the reader, knew that she was his half-sister before any of the sexy stuff happened.
You told us this. Why do you keep making these jokes?
I can imagine tits on my own, Sir Terry. I can and have. And in fact, I can look at my own whenever. Like,
it's easier than ever for all of us to view tits.
Look, if you wanted to win a British Fantasy Award in 1989, it really helped if you told the reviewers to imagine some boobs.
You gotta add a touch of class, you know what I mean? And by class, I mean honkers.
I mean, like, look, the previous year Who Framed Roger Rabbit won. And then next year, Twin Peaks would win, because I assume, they saw the title and imagined some tits.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck. Oh my god. That's I mean, probably. I don't know. Maybe that's the secret.
It was harder to imagine tits in 1989, I guess.
It really was. I guess the only ones you could look up on the internet were like ASCII art boobs.
If you're listening to this podcast and you're like old enough to imagine tits in 1989, write us in to tell us how difficult it was back then
Yes.
and how much easier it is now. Please do.
disc@hypnovire.us. Please let us know how you looked at tits in 1989. We need to know.
It's important. I wanna go back a bit because there was a sentence in here that really kind of made me realize what the big issue with this book, or one of my big things. There's in the scene where they are freeing his dad from the pyramid, his mummified dad. There's a sentence where the king is talking about what the gods are, and it's just everything we believe is true, and what we believe isn't what we think we believe. I mean, we think that we believe that the gods are wise and just and powerful, but what we really believe is that they are like our father after a long day. And that's very, very Western Christianity in every way.
Yes.
It's this book is extremely, I'm going to project my ideas about the horrors of religion onto a culture that I know nothing about, but can probably make some great jokes about razor blades with. And that sucks.
I will say, this book did perfectly capture one thing, which is the fear of having your boss try to relate to you as a person.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
It did nail the idea of hey, your boss, the fucking God King, is taking an interest in you specifically and your work.
I would cut my own hand off too, honestly. I'm not at work to make friends.
Pratchett is also still writing entirely about kings. I'm really
Despite
excited
the fact
for
that he hates kings.
I'm really excited for the next book when he stops.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's kind of weird how he establishes that they're pharaohs and then he calls them kings for the rest of the book.
It's almost like he's interpreting an entire culture solely through a English mindset, the entire book or something.
Except when he's making a joke that requires spending an entire paragraph listing titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tired of that joke. That joke I feel has been in every Discworld book, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah, speaking of...
On the plus side, one joke I did like is when they're all realizing that all of the gods are alive and around them, and there's one priest who's just okay, this can't be real. This has to be fake. There's no way. This has to be I mean, obviously, the sun, there isn't a beetle that pushes the sun, and the other priests look at him, pause, just get him, and then throw him in his it's a very good moment of just we know where things are going now.
I liked that they made a big deal about all the sacred crocodiles in the river, and then by the end of the book Queen Tracy is commissioning bridges to be built across the river, specifically with outcroppings so people could drop rocks on the sacred crocodiles.
Yeah,
because
people are sick of those fucking crocodiles. They want to swim in the river.
It's hard to say it feels like there could have been a good book here, because I feel like that good book is just Small Gods.
Yeah, we got Small Gods, and there was another good book about the Assassin's Guild that ended up not getting written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, what the hell?
Yeah, give me the fucking Harry Potter of Assassin's School. That would have been fine.
God, God, that would have been such a good young adult series.
Yeah, you want to talk about like a scholastic like #1 with a bullet? Because oh man, kids love that secret agent shit right now.
Oh
yeah.
God, we're writing fantasy spy kids.
Oh, shit!
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! You just activated all the neurons in my brain at once. Hell yes!
I mean, I will say, I think one of the things that the Assassin's Guild has going for it is that it's, like, very, very murderous. And that contrast between, haha, we're an English boarding school, very uptight, but also we're not pulling punches about what happens here, is fun and interesting and works.
And, like, and Terry does... I think one of his strengths is writing jokes about death. He's very good at that.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of... Some of the best jokes are, like, you know... Both the assassins and the embalmers have this moment of, well, we don't usually get feedback from our clients.
But it is nice to hear a positive review. That and, when Death makes a cameo at the end of the book, and, like, it's with all of the mummies, and he's like, all right.
Yeah.
Form a queue, I guess.
Yes, this is a little unusual. We know. We don't want to be here either.
Sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I would have loved a book about the Assassin's Guild. And from here on out, they are mentioned in other books, but just as kind of like a matter-of-fact thing that exists in Ankh-Morpork and not as like the focus of anything.
Right.
Vetinari went to the Assassin's Guild, and we'll see more about that, about how he's like kind of a maverick within their school of thought, because he is not as concerned about dressing in all black and looking totally cool, and is focused on other things such as actually figuring out how to be stealthy in urban environments. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, but we won't get to that for like 20 more books, so I'm really sorry to bring it up.
There's another thing that I wish this book had done better. Like, if he trained at the Assassin's Guild, and even at the beginning you have this moment of him going through, like, training from hell that none of the other kids had to go through, that seems like it's setting him up to be really, really powerful, but also traumatized in this way that the other people maybe aren't. He then, like, never uses that. It's, like, referenced a few times when he's breaking Tracy out, but you could have done so much more with that.
It would have been nice if he'd used it whenever anytime when he wasn't dressed for it, let's say.
Yeah. Like he put on his assassin outfit and then he had assassin skills.
Yeah, this is like very MMO style. You put on the clothes and those are what give you the abilities. Mm-hmm.
He really didn't... What did y'all think of his character other than that? Because I really didn't feel like he had a lot going on other than that.
Really?
That was the big thing I was, like, coming away from this book was, like, I didn't really like any of the characters.
Yeah, like,
none of them really made an impression on me.
I liked the embalmers.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the embalmers, some of the murder teachers, they were fun, but, they're not who the book is about.
Yeah, okay, I'll admit, I kind of like Marisette. He's actually, like, a lovable version of Snape in that regards, in that he wasn't really an asshole, he was just very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can appreciate that.
I thought that his character had promise in certain scenes. In some scenes, he felt almost similar to, like, a Mort or something.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Places where he's like, okay, there is a character here who is a bit desperate to just be able to exist. And I think there's a lot of things that really work with that, like the ending where he's just like, fuck this, I don't want to be part of any of this, I just want to go leave. Or, like... It could have gone places, but he just spends so much of the book annoyed and doing nothing. And...
I mean,
he spills a lot of ink, being like, "Damn, can we get some fucking toilets in here? Damn, I want to poop in some pipes."
He doesn't have an Isabel to bounce off of.
Yeah,
he's stuck with Dios for most of the book, and Dios's problem is that you have more interesting interactions with a brick wall.
Yeah, Dios is towing the party line because he is the party.
God, that is... The bit where he's in, like, a stable time loop is the weirdest goddamn thing.
Yeah, like, where did he come up with the whole rituals if it was just a time loop? Like, that makes no sense. That.
I kind of liked that.
I mean, the idea that these rituals never came from anywhere, they were just always there because Dios came back in time with them, and then he propagated them for 7,000 years, then he's inevitably going to get thrown back in time again, and et cetera, et cetera. That is kind of an interesting idea, but it doesn't...
But it kind of implied he lost his memory when he went back in time?
Yeah, he like he hit his head or something, but he didn't...
Yeah.
So he forgot... and he also mentions that like his actual memory just has been going for centuries.
Yeah,
because you forget that, but you remember ritual.
Yeah.
So he literally is just like an elemental of boring ass ritual. So it's again, it's interesting, but again, it doesn't tie into anything. It's not used in any significant way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's again, it seems like he thought this would be like cool and smart and fun to do, just like the time when like they go to fantasy Greece and like, oh, they've got this democracy stuff, huh? It sounds weird. I don't know about that.
God,
or hey, look, here's Zeno trying to shoot arrows at tortoises.
Zeno misconstruing his own paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like here's Ibid, the guy who's an expert on everything. Like, isn't this fun? Mm-hmm. None of these people are going to help you, but they're fun, aren't
They're
they?
here. We need to fill space in this book somehow.
Here's a whole 2 pages that's just a boring retelling of the Trojan War.
I think this is technically the longest Discworld book we've read so far, and it really didn't need to be.
Yeah, it feels like the longest.
Like I said in the summary, that like all they did was just spend 30 or 40 pages making a bunch of sick burns on ancient Troy. That it just didn't. The jokes didn't land, but you know they're 30-year-old jokes. That's not necessarily something I can fault it for. And like I like the joke of Ibid being a master of everything, since that's like a reference to. It's sort of like a ditto when you're writing the footnotes of of citations.
That was the best joke there.
Yeah,
that it was the only joke there.
That and the one who was the one other oh god there
was the listener.
Not the listener, the Greek guy who was their master storyteller, and his whole story, like their master historian, and his whole story was like this, like here it was. I don't know if I want to read the whole thing because
it's a whole fucking long retelling.
It's a long thing, but like he's like retelling the Trojan War, but like he can't remember any of the details, and he's just remembering people based on like what letter their name starts with and what their facial features are, and he keeps fucking up like bits and pieces, and at the end they're all like, "Oh wow, amazing! It was like you were there yourself." I thought that was pretty funny myself, but
it could have been shorter.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the book.
Yeah. Also, like, it's wild that, like, in this book, they go to Ephebe to, like, get help from the rational Greek types. And later, in Small Gods, part of the book involves going to Ephebe to get help from those rational Greek types. Like, when we see this book as a dry run for Small Gods, it is a dry run for Small Gods.
Hey, let's go ask Pythagoras for help, but then they don't really get that much help from Pythagoras, I don't think.
Because he's too busy mumbling about making a very long joke about pi.
Yeah.
Which I think was actually funnier in 1989.
He does. I mean, he does at least go, "Oh yeah, they probably built too big of a pyramid, and it turned their reality 90 degrees." So like, he's completely right in what's going on, but not in any kind of helpful way.
Yeah, just confirmation. Like, oh yeah, the thing happened. It's true. Yep, you already know this, readers.
Yeah, you should. The camel's been telling you this for a while now.
I like the idea behind how he gets back, where it's like camels are, for some reason, and this isn't really explained or anything, incredible mathematicians and possibly the smartest beings in the world. So he knows that all he has to do is bring his camel right up to the spot where his entire country disappeared, and then basically starve the camel, because the camel knows there's water on the other side of that crack in the universe, and if he knows the camel can get through. The problem is there's not really an explanation for like why he would realize that camels
Yeah.
are like this,
Yeah.
or why he
We
would
the
think that he
readers
would.
know
He
this.
had an
How would
ancestral
Tex
dream
know
about
this?
Cuffed, who discovered this, and somehow or another the ancestor, even though it explicitly says, "Yeah, I'm just a dream. I can't tell you anything you don't already know." Oh, by the way, my camels found this place.
It's just, I have a rule, or not a rule, but just I have a. When I'm like talking about movies or books or media with people, if everyone's sitting around critiquing little nitpicks that didn't make sense and were bad, that probably actually means that the general structure of it was quite bad.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you have to
usually you
cinema
only
sense
do
it.
that if the structure of the story didn't work at all,
Okay.
and so you had a lot of time to
It's-
think about that stuff.
All right, I'm going to interject here. If he needs to get back in, he needs to get back across, and they make the big deal about how you can sort of briefly see the kingdom if you like stand right where the crack is and just like look the right way. The dude. Okay, so it's established that the reigning pharaoh is part divine, and because this is Discworld, and because there's 7,000 years of belief working, that's true. And inside of the pocket, that's super true. And that was the whole reason why he had any chance to pull off anything that he was doing, and why he was doing that weird ninja nonsense when he was somehow bouncing across the necropolis. So maybe just he just has to barrel towards that crack, and just in that split second where he's intersecting the kingdom, just kick something in, and like the divine element pops him through, instead of having to wait for his camel to just get the right physics.
Yeah. Like, you'd think that if in the dimension that he was stuck, on the outside of the kingdom in, like if there's like a 2-dimensional plane that you are extremely cosmically powered in, then that would be a weak point which you could exert force upon.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Maybe one of those other magic seagulls.
yeah. At least a magic bagel.
Bagels.
Yum. But I agree with your point, Jude, in that, like, it's easier to nitpick little details like this than to try to take on the entirety of it. I had a really hard time getting through this book.
Yeah, same.
I would pick it up and put it down, and like it was really easy getting through the Assassin's Guild part, and then like when we get to like the Kingdom, it was just like, it felt like not just that the pace, like saying a book's pacing is off is a really vague way to express a really acute problem, but like it just felt like I didn't have any reason to keep going with it.
Yeah.
So
It seemed like we know that the problem is the big pyramid isn't capped before it happens, but then like nobody does anything about it for most of the book.
yeah.
A lot of the book is, I think Dios is also a serious problem with the structure of the book, because he's not really, like, as an antagonist, he doesn't really represent a threat. He doesn't really represent anything at all. His character's entirely static, and beyond that, all he wants is for things to stay the same. And it's not really, there's not really a conflict between him and the main character until pretty late, when the main character decides to free the girl. Like, for a lot of it, Dios is just annoying and awful and grumpy, and you don't get a sense of, this is dangerous. You get a sense of, like, I don't like this guy.
I almost wish that Tepic would have pushed back harder on him and, like, been more of a little shit towards him and try to do more things that would piss him off. Like, I wanted to see them clash more.
Yeah. But, like, as his character, he can't clash. His entire character is that he refuses to ever clash, because it would be against the rules. And that's just not a good character.
This is actually a book where we needed a barbarian hero to come in swinging a two-handed sword. But unfortunately, we had an assassin.
Clashing would require Dios to, like, acknowledge that Tepic wanted other things.
When to him, like, I guess Tepic is just another interchangeable person in a long line of leaders that he doesn't actually care about outside of what they represent. So
Right.
Yeah, like he says it himself. Like, there doesn't actually have to be like a body on the throne. Like, I'm the government.
yeah, I get that that's like the point of the book, but that doesn't make for interesting character dynamics.
Yeah, it's Yeah, because, like, as soon as you realize, like, oh, like, nothing Tepek says matters.
Yeah.
All right, why are we doing this then?
If Tracy had come into the story, like, at the, like, 25% of the way through or halfway through, you might have had something there, because she and Tepek could have bounced back and forth on things, instead of him just sort of, like, moping for several months at a time.
Yeah, she comes in later, they hang out for a little bit, and then she, like, leaves on that one, like, smuggler guy's boat, and we don't see her again until the very end of the book. And it's just like,
why don't we see Tracy for so long? She, like, lives in the palace, right? Like, she was Tepek's dad's handmaiden. Like, surely she wouldn't go anywhere.
I kind of wonder if this would be a more interesting book if it was from Tracy's perspective.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, the problem is that book would have required Pratchett to actually have an understanding of cultures that aren't dumb British kids, and that's not going to happen for a very long time.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Assassin School works because, like, Sir Terry probably did go to a shitty English boarding school at some point, or knows people who did.
Yeah.
And it also lets him write the main character, because now he doesn't have to write a main character who is actually from a different culture than England. He can just write them as a young English dude. And that kind of fucking sucks. Yeah. This book sucks.
He's a kid from London who really just wants a feather mattress and a toilet. Everything else would be fine. Like, that's all he really wants.
I mean, a nice place to sleep and a nice place of shit will take care of most of your needs.
Yeah, that's
same. Like,
Maslow's
if you
whatever.
Yeah.
If you put me in charge of a kingdom that didn't have either of those things, I would want it changed, but you should be noticing other things, Tepek.
Oh, yeah, one more thing before we move on to the ranking. What did y'all think of the pyramid contractors?
Oh, I did like those.
They were good characters, although I think I struggled just to read this book as a whole so much that focusing on the individual characters was hard. But I did like them.
If you had stripped out all of the quantum jokes, I would have liked them a lot more.
Yeah.
But I do like the running joke of trying to get rid of the hat statue. I did actually like them being creative with wait a second, this thing is making like weird time loop things. Can we use that to cheat on our contract?
That was great.
Can we we have the same guy working for us 5 times over. We've the guy's name is like Il or something like that, but there's 2 of them, the book starts calling him 2A and 2B.
No, that was just the name of the sons themselves were 2A and 2B.
Yeah. It's a weird archaeology
but then there were
joke.
But then there were 2 sons. One son got duplicated, the other one got TF'd into a credit card?
They both got duplicated at points. It's just that when reality turned sideways, the accountant's son, I think that was A, got like turned 2-dimensional until reality got fixed.
Yeah, he got shifted over in dimensions so that like length was width and depth was time and all this other weird shit.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time trying to explain this. Like the joke still doesn't work.
Yeah, but
there's some good bits in there about like, well, they really want to design aqueducts. Like, I think that's gonna be the hip new thing next. They're like upside down bridges. You're gonna love them.
Listen, this is great, but where do we put the coffins?
Like they were Morporkian characters, frankly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's going to do this exact same bit much better later with characters such as Cut My Own Throat.
Yeah.
He's just get this better later, which sucks.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for your sleazy, fast-talking guys who are trying to sell you something.
I have great news about Cut Me Own Throat.
You are going to get a feast with Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler.
Oh, I know. The part of I accidentally read. Yeah. I think it was the start of
Reaper Man.
Reaper Man.
Yep,
Reaper Man.
Reaper Man is
and
definitely
I was really
story.
vibing on this guy. It's a shame I was reading the wrong book.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to Reaper Man. It's going to be a great book.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Before we go on to that, I wanted to ask though, what was y'all's like favorite parts of the book? I've talked a lot about how I disliked this book a lot more than I thought I would. I didn't like most of it, I guess, but I'm wondering like what were the parts that you did like?
I was ready to be all like, well, this book had some good parts and some bad parts. But now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, did it though? Did it really have a lot of good parts?
Yeah, Assassin's School was good. There was some good jokes sprinkled throughout.
I think my favorite part probably was the final exam for Tepig in Assassin's School that was intercut.
Yeah.
It was like intercut while he was falling to his death with moments from his childhood, which was not just like fun, but also like a really sharp way to kick off a book with like a kind of an action sequence without having to do too much exposition, like hiding the exposition inside of the action, which is something I do a lot in my writing, or I try to do, because it's a way of like covering a lot of ground in a short amount of time, which is important if you want to keep a nice clip on your story. I really liked that part.
His life is flashing before his eyes, and I made a note that like the book starts very much like a film still.
Yeah.
Like it describes like, okay, so you could actually like hear him saying like, okay, so the camera starts out here, we see the flare of the pyramid shooting into the sky, and it zooms in on Tepig, and then do.
Mm-hmm. Really expensive CGI shot right there.
Yeah.
Get the boys from ILM down on that shit.
Yeah, we rent a drone and we have it goes,
I adored the run. I actually liked most of the stuff after, after Tepig got back into the kingdom, after everything went sideways. Mm-hmm. I actually liked those parts. There was a lot of good imagery. There was a lot of good, a lot of stuff that Pratchett hadn't really gotten a chance to write. Like, also, the Assassin's Guild I haven't dropped down into Discworld mud mode yet this episode, so I'm going to do that right now.
Feel free.
The run itself gets very well recreated inside the game itself. Mm-hmm. It was actually it's one of those things that I never really got a chance to experience, because up until very recently, graduating as a member of the Assassin's Guild means that your character is permanently marked as a player killer, which means that you've got PvP mode turned on all the time, and you have to do it from a relatively low level. So they actually changed those rules around like 2 or 3 months ago.
Nice.
So you no longer have to turn that flag on ever. In fact, my wizard character that I've got right now is in an order that used to require you to do the same thing. But the run itself was actually very well, I can't say recreated, because they actually did make a bunch of variants of it, and you never know which one you're allowed to go on, and it's just...
Which I assume they would do if that route existed in, well, the reality of Discworld. So
yeah, the book makes it clear that there's several routes.
Yeah. Everyone gets a different route depending on what house you're in and who your examiner is, and it's a common agreement between the players. Nobody spoils what's on the run. I have found some spoilers on it, obviously, and some of them are... It is the most ridiculously detailed thing that game ever makes you do, because you actually do have to think of it to the utter ridiculousness of, okay, did they put poison needles on this drain pipe?
Yeah.
And assassins do have access to a huge poison crafting system and blah, 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 blah. The Assassin's Guild is really well represented in the game, and...
I want to actually talk about that scene a bit, because I feel like part of what this book was missing is a lot of it didn't really feel... It didn't feel grounded most of the time. It didn't feel grounded in characters or in scenes. It had a bit of the Sourcery problem, where everything is so blown out of proportion and in places that Pratchett is obviously mostly using to make jokes that you kind of lose touch with the idea of the characters and what the threats are and why you should care. And I feel like at the beginning that scene was actually so good, just because the whole scene with him like doing the whole test and going through it and then deciding the joke at the end of him deciding I'm not going to do the kill and firing it and it bouncing around and hitting the person, and then like the scene after that where he's like talking to people and they're like, yeah, it was just a dummy obviously, and he's just sitting there like, oh god, it's so good. That was fantastic.
I wanted I wanted more, like, tell me more about, like, being an assassin, right? Like, I think a lot about, like, the armored things you put on your shoes. Well, we call them priests because they save your souls.
That's so good.
And also,
It's a good
just
joke.
it highlights this great thematic core because, like, the whole thing with the assassins is it's this combination of we've turned murder into it's a British boarding school, haha, uptight,
Yeah,
and so like
it's
having
the best
this
education you can get on the disc.
yeah, having this scene where you bring that contrast into focus with here's a bunch of people who went and did their test and they're making jokes about it afterwards, but also the main character's kind of fucking traumatized by this and doesn't know how to talk about it because they had the reality of what this is drawn into focus. That's so good.
Yeah.
And then it stops.
Yeah, it's a shame we, like, never get a hint of, like, Tepek realizing he can't fucking kill people for a living, and then that never comes up again.
Yeah.
Especially in a book that is so concerned with death, it never comes up again.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah. Yeah, like, he never, like when Tracy is, like, sentenced to death in his name, like, he saves her because, you know, he likes her and he didn't think she should die. He doesn't say, he never, like, thinks, no, I'm not going to let someone die by my hand. I can't fucking deal with that.
Yeah, which you think would be, like, a huge motivator for him. Like,
Yeah, that was his whole thing.
like, you could make the alternate point of the book is, like, you can't be a king without having blood on your hands at some point. Yeah.
There are so many interesting things this book could do. So many genuinely, like, really fascinating and cool stuff. My girlfriend was, when she read the book, was talking about just kind of like, you could do some really interesting things with the whole pyramids as business and the assassin school as being business and turning this into a book about capitalism as a fucking death cult. But none of this happens, and instead we get a joke about razor blades that if God loves me and Terry Pratchett loves me from beyond the grave, and I love myself as a god, we will never see again in these books. Please.
Fingers crossed.
Like, give me a whole book about, like, Tepek the pacifist assassin. Like, yeah, there's a hook. Like, I'm interested.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to do some Discworld fanfic, some great jumping off points for this book.
The idea of somebody who takes the contracts and then it does some sort of fantasy witness protection program, just funds it with the money that he's paid to kill people, but then just hides them away somewhere else.
Yeah, he's got a whole kingdom, right? Like, hey, I've been hired to kill you, but why don't we get on my boat? I'll take you to, you know, a nice river kingdom. We got some pyramids. Set you up with a nice job. What do you say, huh?
God, that would have been so
You like
good.
triangles? Sure you do. Keep your razor blade sharp.
God damn it.
So good. Okay, well, since it sounds like we're kind of wrapping up discussion, let's get to the part all of you listeners, no doubt, have been waiting for with bated breath, the official ranking. Let's find out where Pyramid stacks up in comparison to Sir Terry's other published works up until this point. Now, can we all assume that this book is better than The Color of Magic and The Light Fantastic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll
say that.
Even with the complete lack, even though Tepek never has anybody to bounce off of, it still does better than the bad chemistry between Two Flower and Rincewind.
Okay.
Yeah.
It still has more. It's still better written, just as
There
a whole.
are two entire sections at the start and the end that I really like, so that's better than I can say for either of those two.
Yeah,
True.
this is by and large trading on the strength of, you know, the good parts.
Yeah. Would we say it's better than Sourcery?
I'm going to say yes, because one of the things I thought when reading this book is this book feels like a better version of Sourcery. It's just that isn't very good.
It clears that bar.
Like,
It is, I would say, marginally less racist than Sourcery, and
That's
I like the characters in this better on the whole.
Yeah, Sourcery has some like this book has some dead ends in it. Sourcery was like all dead ends. It was like one big dead end made up of a lot of smaller dead ends. So that's something. Would you say that it's better than Equal Rites?
Fuck no.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's where
I don't even like Equal Rites. I think this book is better written than Equal Rites. I think the bits in this book are better than Equal Rites. I think Equal Rites is a better book.
This really slots in kind of next to Equal Rites for me because, like, it has the same problem of, like, I don't think I liked the book overall, but there were definitely parts that I liked, and that saves it from being, like, a real lower bottom of the list kind of a thing. So, under Equal Rites, I feel is a good place to put it at number 4 in our list.
I would recommend someone read Equal Rites before I recommend they read Pyramids.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Another, and this is a weird thing to start ranking stuff on, but another issue is that Equal Rites gave us the character of Granny Weatherwax, who is such a great character, and we're all going to love forever. And this book gave us...
literally nothing.
Nobody.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Equal Rites passes the Bechdel test. I could say that about it.
Yes.
I think that I might put Equal Rites and Pyramids on the same tier when we finally stop doing a numbered list.
Mm-hmm.
But
I will still be doing a numbered list.
Somebody has to.
People gotta know the real score.
We're being really precise. But yeah, so slotting in at the perfect middle of the list, above Sourcery, below Equal Rites, comes Pyramids, the 7th book in the Discworld series, and definitely a collection of words that was published, and that
certainly a book
you can read if you're a completionist, like we are, unfortunately. Speaking of completionism, get excited for next episode because we're covering Guards, the first Watch book,
God.
and I could not be more excited.
I have a special edition of this book that my girlfriend got me that's like really fancy as a gift, and I am so fucking excited.
Is it like...
I literally have not opened it until now.
Oh, fuck yeah. Is it like the hardcover with like the fancy shit on the front?
It's like a recent thing they did where there's a ton of illustrations and stuff in it. It's really good, and I'm really excited. And Guards is going to be me saying a lot of... I'm going to be real. I think I'm going to be a lot more negative on this book than you think, mostly because I've read it more recently than most of the Discworld books, and it's still very much an early Discworld book, and it has a lot of issues, but it sets some stuff up so well, and I'm excited.
It's like season 1 of a Star Trek series, where it's like, well, this isn't great, but it's got all the characters I like, and it's setting things up, so, yeah.
And I mean, it has Sybil, and I'm gonna be... I can't think about it without talking about it. Yeah. Our first 5-parter.
I am contractually obligated to be a fan of any character named Sybil in fiction.
True.
But yeah, cool. Was there anything else we wanted to cover? We didn't really get any fan mail. We did get one email from Worm McDonald's about a Tumblr post displayed on their blog of a section of animation from an adaptation of Wyrd Sisters in '97. We can check that out later. I think I linked the full thing is on YouTube, and I linked that in the Wyrd Sisters episode notes, so check those out.
And once again, we have not listened to that lecture that we were supposed to.
No, shit, I keep forgetting about that.
I just remembered it right now.
I am so sorry, Reshef. We will get to it. But yeah.
Okay, there were 2 more things I did want to point out before we're done. Mm-hmm. One good, one bad. The good one is, there's a pretty good joke about, oh yeah, the entire pantheon is here. The complete set, if you will.
Oh, god damn it.
But tish.
And the other is that really weirdly transphobic exchange about, oh, I got an aunt who decreed that they're an uncle?
So that's actually...
That was just weird.
So the story behind that is like, there's... traditionally, there have been Egyptian queens in history, but in order to take the mantle of being the monarch of the country, they have to declare themselves as a king, and they need to have like sculptures made of them featuring this like ceremonial like fake beard on them and stuff. It's like an ancient Egypt joke, but it could very easily be mistaken as a transphobic joke.
Yeah, I kept rereading that part. Like, I'm not sure what this is saying, but
it's weird because it was called out without really being in reference to any other thing in the book, and assumes you know something about that piece of trivia.
And it gets mentioned a couple of times, just seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah. It isn't set up very well.
Like a turf would shout at me.
Yeah, Chekhov's gun from nowhere. But yeah, this has been Disc Coverers. If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to shout about it on social media, on your Twitters or TikToks or what have you. We have a Twitter account, discpod at twitter.com. And we also have a Mastodon account, if you're into decentralized social media, at queer.party/discpod. We also have an email, disc@hypnovire.us. That's DISC at hypnovir.us. We love to receive messages from our listeners. So if you liked something in an episode, if you didn't like something in an episode, if you've been reading along and you have thoughts, feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Unless you have something mean to say about us, in which case go fuck yourself. I am Iris J. You can find me on the internet at Iris J Comics, on Twitter, and on Mastodon at social. I don't really have anything to promote this week. I have a Patreon, Iris J on Patreon. You can check that out. It's pretty cool.
It's a good Patreon.
Thank you. I just put up a bunch of stuff on my store. A bunch of Queer Villain Pride pins and shit. Check that out, store.irisj.net. Yeah, you can pin them on things.
Good fucking pins.
Yeah, that's a promotion. Did y'all have anything
They're very good.
You would like to plug?
I'm Juniper, Twitter at Juniper Theory, and also twitch.tv/Juniper Theory. I'm streaming again. Come watch me stream. I don't know when this episode will be out, probably not in time, but I'll probably still be doing it then. I'm raising money to help my girlfriend move across the country so that she can get out of hell.
Woo!
So, help me out if you can. Or just come watch me stream bad video games, like Super Mario Baseball for the Wii. I think is what I'm going to do.
Hell yes.
I don't stream normal shit, okay? It's great.
I don't want you to stream normal shit. I love watching you stream weird shit.
Aw, thank you.
Luigi, I enter the baseball.
I am still BALINA, and I still lack enough hustle to have anything else going on right now. We'll see what we can do next episode.
And I am the internet's beloved Princess Grace. You can find my writing, programs, podcast posts, and everything else that's fit to plug at princess.software.
Wow. Amazing. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Until next time, be good to each other, and keep on. We really got to figure out a sign-off. Truly it was. The Discoverers. A Discoverers, Episode 7, Pyramids, now on Anchor.fm.
Keep on triangling that disc.
Did you know razor blades get sharper when you leave them under pyramids?
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.